Hi everyone, welcome back to Studioloo. So I'm here today. I'm just working on the creation of a couple pages, I think, for my artist's sample book. I'm kind of working on like two of the same page at a time here because I'm thinking I might make a couple of these books because I'm really enjoying making the different kinds of mock-ups for them. So I'll show you maybe a little of what I've done so far with one of them. So this was a color shifting watercolor sample, and this is a fabric sample. I also super love the back of it. I thought about covering it, but how amazing is that stitched grid? And then here is a sewing machine stitch sampler page. Yeah, I'm just kind of working on like a page a day. So a stamp collection sample page. I figured what better sample from an artist studio than a scraps of all the different papers that they have in their scrap bin. Obviously you've seen my watercolor swatches probably. I think that's all I've done for this book so far. I've been working away on this kind of slowly. I'm having kind of a sleepy week. I'm very busy this week with work, and also I'm volunteering for the Ontario Health Coalition to try to save our healthcare system because unfortunately our provincial government, the Conservative government under Doug Ford, who is a pretty terrible capitalist, is trying to take away one of the most incredible things about Canada, which we can thank Tommy Douglas for having given us all those many years ago, which is our socialized healthcare system. So basically they're doing the typical, conservative trope of trying to say that everything is much worse than it is, and then, cutting funding to the medical system and the hospitals, and paying the nurses and doctors too little to try to break the system so that then they can save it by privatizing it in phases where it looks like, oh, we're just using private, care to offset the bulk, the load on the system, and don't worry, your health coverage will still cover it. That's phase one. Phase two is like US style private health care. And in Canada, we are absolutely not going to benefit from that. And also, insurance companies in Canada do not operate like those in the US, and predatory US companies will come into Canada to prey on all of us. So if you care about this, I will link below in my description box for this video. There is a people's referendum happening this upcoming Friday, which you can vote in, and you can vote in person. I will be manning a booth somewhere, and you can also vote online to make it very easy for you. So yeah, just putting that out there because I'm a little stressed about that, I'm just gonna say. Definitely not trying to bring politics to my channel here, but I think that healthcare is an important topic for everyone, and everyone who's not, I doubt I have many giant medical care business tycoons watching this channel, but I think anybody outside of that has the ability to understand that privatized healthcare is a nightmare. And I'm sure many of my American friends can attest to that, and that you are usually one hideous, one horrible event away from total devastation financially. So, yeah. That being said, I will continue now into this creative endeavor that I am going to go into. So I want to do two things today. I want to create a sample page of yarns. I'm going to use my hand spun yarns. And I want to create a stamped page that I'm going to add paint to. And then I have a project for later today, because you see this, I have this waffle flower stamp. I have more of these stamps in different kinds of like palettes and things, and I can't find them, which makes no sense at all. Oh no, maybe they're up there, because I really have 3 places that I keep stamps, like 3 separate bins. 2 of them are in front of me and 1 of them is behind me, so I don't really know where they could have gone other than that. So that being said, we need to find them. So I'll start with the sample page for the the yarn. I need to find my book, right over here. Hold on. I also have another video I need to work on today that I already shot half of it, and I'm doing this thing that I don't like when I do this, which is essentially like splitting up the work between videos. You don't want to do that because it's not a good plan. I like to sort of do one video at a time, but it's okay. I will make it work. Okay, so what I want to do here is just fold this so that I know it fits inside the book. We're all good? Yes, we're all good. Perfect. Now, I'll set that one aside, and I need the other book. I think my books are actually the same size that I'm planning to make these books with. So let's just glue or tape these together. Oops, I have an extra one. This is beautiful paper. This is handmade paper, and I got it from a lady on Facebook Marketplace. She had bought this as well as 2 other kinds of handmade paper from an artist, and the other sheets were like gigantic, huge sheets of paper, and I have lots of it left. And she was going to be wallpapering her home with it. And I mean, how beautiful would that be, right? So I'm sure it was very expensive, this project. She had a really beautiful home. But she had to move, you know, circumstances or something happened and she has to move. So she never got to wallpaper her home with this paper. So she sold all of it to me for $10. And I was like, what? But I thanked her very much and told her, you know, what I do and why I wanted the paper. And she was like, oh, well, I'm happy to be, you know, passing it on to an artist. That's great. She's like, I didn't want to see it end up somewhere like the recycle bin or something. I said, I don't think that would happen. It's really beautiful. You know, I said, even if you were to donate it to a thrift store, I'm pretty sure it would get a really great home. You know, but I would never have even thought about wallpapering, with handmade paper, but yeah, it's beautiful. And you know, that's a kind of project you could do at home and not have to pay for those sultry papers that we see in stores a lot of the time. I see some crazy prices these days on wallpaper, but I mean, there's beautiful wallpaper out there. And I also, it's kind of cool that like a lot of designers who do other paper products or fabric products like Riley Blake, I love the company Riley Blake and the paper lines that they have and the fabric that they have. It's nice to see also doing wallpaper. And I think like once I move and I decide where I want to live and what I want to do, my forever home that I hope I will find when the market gets a little less nutty, I think I will do something like with wallpaper. I've always used paint. I've never been a wallpaper person. Not because I've ever thought there was something wrong with wallpaper, but just, I guess I might have been a little intimidated by it, because having not really done it before. But yeah, I think I'm ready to take that leap. So I'm creating like 2 little tuck spots here on either side of this folio. So there we go. Let's let that one dry a little and we'll go back to this one. So what I want to do, I grabbed my eyelets here. Does anyone ever use the little tiny pieces, these little eyelet covers? I never use them. Okay. I need to wake up. I'm sleepy. Here we go. I need my eyelet punch. So, I want 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just one moment. Okay, so we've got our holes. Now, I'm going to use, I guess I use this brushed bronzy kind of color. Pop those in here. because I want these to be stronger, so that I don't, you know, tear the paper. Although I don't think I would tear the paper. It's really quite sufficient paper. It's funny, as I'm making these pages, you know, with the idea that I have 2 books in mind, I'm thinking about like the equality of what I'm doing between the books, because I think having 2 children, I'm like trained to think that way. Because, you know, if you get one kid something, the other one always wants it, or if one gets a blue one, the other one also has to have the blue one a lot of the time. Though I do try to break that up in my household. I do try to like press that issue a little bit so that my kids think about how things can be different and the same, because it's a funny thing. I'm happy that the weekend is coming. I'm like feeling like I need a weekend, even though I just had a long weekend. This one. Okay. There we go. So now I'll show you how I do this. What I want to do is take a little bit of this boucle, and I'll go through here. Boucle is the name for this yarn, if you've ever wondered. This is my hand spun boucle. This yarn is mohair, and it has these little loops here. Yep, that is called boucle. So I'll tell you a funny secret. So as I started watching junk journal videos, I noticed a lot of people using what they call fluffy trim, or, you know, it's eyelash yarn basically is what it's called. So did you know the reason that you find this yarn so cheaply in thrift stores and stuff is actually because fiber artists honestly hate it more than you know, living on the sun? It's the worst. The most hideously ugly yarn that you could ever use in the fiber art kind of world. It's like the worst, and it looks so awful knitted up into anything, and it also is horrible to knit with. So, and why? Because, you know, when you're knitting, right, you need to be able to see like your stitches. So like, you know, if we think of this as a knit stitch and a knit stitch and a knit stitch, like, you know, you need to see it to go through it to make that next stitch. And when you've got something that's just like such a mess, it's really hard, especially a few rows in, to do anything at all. And you know, also it's very plasticky, so it's not something you'd want to really have on your skin. So all that being said, my yarn snob is coming out, and I understand why journalers like it, because you're not putting it on your skin and you're not like dealing with it in the same way. But oh my gosh, I had such a laugh when I started to watch these videos of these women all saying like, oh, it's so beautiful, and I'm like, finally this yarn has found its home. Like, I'm happy. Like, some part of me always kind of feels like I think that there's, you know, there's a purpose. I've always said there's a purpose for every yarn, and being that I'm someone who spins unusual yarns, I kind of have had the same types of criticism and questioning and that kind of thing about my own yarns. Well, what would I do with it? And you know, all that kind of thing comes from ignorance, to be honest. And I don't say that to be rude, but I say it to be honest. It's ignorance. You don't know how to use it, so you know, you ask that question, and I'd say some people ask it nicely with an open mind, and other people ask it in a very judgmental and rude way. I never anticipated, like, until I started doing yarn shows, just how contentious people can be about the silliest things in the world. I have always like found it fascinating and also troubling. Like, I've spun, I have a signature yarn that I spin that is like, it has Barbie doll heads in it, and it's something that I've always done. It's been one of my kind of artistic voyages in the art yarn spinning world. And I mean, I have been in the art yarn spinning world for a very long time, like since 2000. So I kind of feel like I've got a bit of street cred as it relates to that topic. And, you know, I've done shows where I've had like a lady get extremely upset and uncomfortable about the Barbie doll head yarn, and you know, I don't know why per se, but yeah, she was a little strange. I think that one's too chunky to go in there, which is okay. And then I also had spun a yarn called Bacon and Eggs that had, it was like a red and brown wool yarn that had felted over easy eggs in it. And, you know, I had like someone get on a very inflamed vegan kind of rant. And it was funny because at the time I actually was vegan. Like I spent 16 years as a vegan. And, you know, I basically just spoke to them by saying, like, you know, just because you have a belief system, same as what I do, you don't get to attack the overall culture of like things, you know, like it's not on you to be like this warrior. This is why people get so out of touch with organizations such as PETA, which is also a very problematic organization. You know, because you can't, like, there's that whole like you attract more flies with honey type mindset, and I believe, you know, in some ways I believe in that, because it's like if you want people to listen to you, you know, you don't come at them like you're a wild animal of a person, you know, like you want to be listened to, then you talk calmly, you try to be receptive, respectful, and even if your beliefs differ, then you know what, that's okay, because you're not going to change the world in a day, and all you can do is show how like being kind about things can maybe change attitudes, right? So I don't know, I've had a little bit of weird definitely a little bit of weird. So I think I won't use those here, but I'll find some other way maybe to use them in this book. We'll see. So I need a couple more samples on this. I'll be able to use this yellow. But yeah, I think the thing is too is that vegans, having been one myself, they're also very misinformed about wool in general and the world of wool, and you know, unfortunately, again, with PETA, who I used to be very into, and I learned, unfortunately, later that they're not the best org, that, you know, that they say, like, there's all this cruelty involved in wool, and I'm thinking, like, you really don't know the wool industry at all. The wool industry is very different than that. So I need a couple more yarns. I'm going to grab those, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got a couple more yarns here. So this one, I'm going to try to thread through. There we go. Alright. Then we'll trim the end off that. Okay. And I think for this one, because it's 2 strands and one is all Angelina Sparkle, I'm going to just tie a little knot in the ends so I know that all stays together. There we go. And then one more, this sort of light yellowy green. Then I think what I want to do with this as a page in the journal is I want to create a journal card for either side that's also a sample card, that's a textile or a fiber sample card. So where did I put them? Here they are. So my little baggies here of yarn, these are bags that I sell at shows. These are hand-dyed sock yarn mini skeins, and they're 5-gram skeins. These are bamboo, so see, they're really shiny yarn and they're really pretty. So I think I'll make like almost like a thread sample card with like wrapped, you know, yarn, bamboo yarn around it, and that will be on either side. So I'll do one with these yarns and one with those yarns, and we'll make 2 journal cards, one for either side of this fun page, and they'll just tuck right in here. And yeah, that's what I'll do with that. So maybe now I'll just finish up, hold on one second. Okay, yeah, I'll finish up this one real quick too, and I'll come back and I'll show you the other project. Alrighty, so these two are done. I'm happy with those. I'm going to have one have insides and the other be on the outsides. I think that's a nice way to sort of switch it up. Now, I've got my archival ink and this waffle flower stamp, which, have I opened this before? It would not appear so. Like I said, I have some other ones, but today I'll use this one. Alright, I think I have had to have opened this before. Oh yeah, it has that's okay. It has two ends from which to open. So I think what I'm going to do is actually just keep the whole thing together. I'm not going to pull anything up off of it. And I'm going to stamp this on here. So this is going to be a little tricky, just because I always find it tricky to use a big stamp. So we'll see how this goes. I might need to go get my stamping platform and do this again, but I thought I would try doing it freehand first and see how it goes. It might go okay, we'll see. All right, so the trick is to put it down. Now I'm just going to use this on top as kind of more even than my hands, because you know your hands will create bumps and valleys. We'll see how successful we are. If not, I'll have to get my platform. I think it'll be too light maybe. Let me try my hands. It may just be that I didn't get enough ink on here. It's all about experimenting, you know. Still feel like that's a little light. Let's see if we can darken it up here. Yeah, it's still a little too light. Okay, let me think. Yeah, I think I will use this one just as my kind of tester. I'm not going to actually use it. Let me try one more time and see if I can just get a better ink coverage here. This is why I don't use big stamps very often, because I just kind of find them like a little stressful. I mean, I could obviously take them all off individually, but I'm trying to just get the whole thing if I can. Okay, so that should be inked. If it's not, then we have a problem. Let's try it again. At first I'll just, you know, get the bulk of it off in the same way as before. I'll try going over with my hands. I have all these tools and then I don't feel like pulling them out. It's okay. Okay, that's better. That's better. So yeah, it is possible to get this the way that I want it. So yeah, I will experiment with that a little bit, probably with my stamping platform. But that is what I'm thinking. And then I want to go and I'm going to get some paints, different kinds of paints that I want to sample, and I may use this. I'm also going to try to find my other swatches of this kind of stamp, because I think it would be really fun to use. And if I can't find them, I have some other ideas. So I think that's all I want to do with that for now. But I'll talk to you a little bit about another project that I'm working on. So I'm doing this thing. It's going to be called 24 Hours of Ephemera. So in my spare time, when I'm too sleepy to film or I'm doing something that I can't film, I'm kind of like setting a timer and documenting my time while I make ephemera. And I'm just making ephemera just for this purpose and putting it into a basket. And then I'm going to do a video that shows you how much ephemera I made in a 24-hour window. And I think that will be kind of fun to see. So that's it, I think, for now. Just wanted to do a little check-in video because I haven't had the ability to really shoot big videos this week. I've just been busy and kind of sleepy. So I need the weekend. So I hope you're well, and we'll talk soon. And yeah, say hi if you're out there, and bye for now.